not getting money from our donor community, and that is why those amounts have been put there to ensure that that works. Honorable Speaker, in closing, Honorable Speaker, SHA, or the Universal Health Coverage under Taifa Care, is working. And it is working well for many, many Kenyans. I am so happy that today Kenyans do not need to be told by politicians whether SHA is working. They are testifying in their backgrounds, in their villages, how their neighbor, how their relatives have had their bills catered for. I want to tell Kenyans now, with another 13 billion shillings going to the primary healthcare fund, all they need to do is to walk into your primary healthcare facility. So long as your governor has enlisted that facility under SHA.
Just give him.
Honorable Speaker was saying any governor who has enlisted at primary healthcare facility, be it a level 1, level 2, level 3 hospital, under the Universal Health Coverage or the Social Health Authority, any Kenyan within that locality can now walk into that dispensary, get treated, and go home without paying a single shilling or a coin, so long as your governor has enlisted. So Kenyans must ensure that governors have enlisted all their primary healthcare facilities. They are level 1, level 2, level 3 facilities, since this 13 billion is there up for grabs to treat you for free. For free, Mr. Speaker. Let me insist, for free in any healthcare facility. If you get an accident, Honorable Speaker, you have another 10 billion shillings going to the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illnesses Fund to ensure that if I get an accident, I am enlisted under SHA, I will now get treated for an emergency, a chronic illness, for free again in a dispensary or health center, level 4 that is enlisted under the SHA platform, Honorable Speaker. And with that, I beg to support and urge members to support these budget estimates, even as we look forward to considering the revenue estimates when the finance bill eventually is tabled before us by the Finance Committee. And congratulations to our Budget and Appropriations Committee for the good work and the huge effort that they put in ensuring that they have rationalized our expenditures with our revenue estimates to give us a product that will be good for our economy, even as we continue to grow our economy from the bottom up through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. I beg to second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on its consideration of the estimates of revenue and expenditure and the medium term for the financial year 2025-2026, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, the 4th of June, 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 221 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, and Standing Order Number 239. Roman 1 approves the issuance of a sum of Kenya shillings 2,538,293,978,440 from the Consolidated Fund to meet the expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2026 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule, subject to paragraph 3rd Roman, Committee of Supply. Second Roman makes the policy and financial resolutions contained in the second schedule to the order paper, and third Roman orders that the Speaker do now leave the chair to facilitate the consideration of the said budget estimates with respect to each vote and program in the Committee of Supply as contemplated under Standing Order Number 240, consideration of estimates in the Committee of Supply. The Honorable Aseka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me join my colleagues and my chair in supporting this budget estimate for 2025-2026 financial year. Speaker, this budget provides for about 4.3 trillion, with 405 billion being allocated to our counties, 1.3 being allocated to CFS, and about 10 billion being allocated to the Equalization Fund. So, Speaker, if you look at this budget, key programs that supports the development of this country have been captured. The budget provides funds for the subsidized fertilizer, which will go a long way in addressing food insecurity. This budget provides revenues or funds for the recruitment of about 20,000 intern teachers who will assist us in our GSS centers. Mr. Speaker, this budget provides funds approximately to about 6 billion that will help into employing our universal healthcare nurses on permanent and pensionable basis. Mr. Speaker, as we look at this budget, we must also ask ourselves some of the serious questions on the implementation of budget. Mr. Speaker, it's not about figures. Budget and a good budget must be implementable. It's not just passing a budget that cannot be implemented. With a deficit of 786 billion, we need to ask ourselves how we are going to raise these funds and ensure that this budget is implemented. On the county allocation of about 4 or 5 billion, Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that, as the leader of majority has said, that accountability is key into this. So, Speaker, I come from accounting Kakamega, where, Mr. Speaker, had lived the last 3 years. I haven't seen any project that has been done by the county government, even a one-door toilet that has been completed in my county. We must also call our governors to order and tell them to stop stealing, to stop taking Kenyans for a ride, and to stop the interest they have and the appetite of looting the government resources. Honorable Speaker, as I also support, I want to call upon Treasury to ensure that it provides resources and funds for the payment of the pending bills. It's very discouraging that many of our suppliers and contractors are languishing in the streets because of non-payment of pending bills. And you see, Mr. Speaker, if these bills are not paid, they hinder the growth of the economy of this country. I want to urge all members to support this, and we must ensure that we have a very robust implementation matrix to ensure that this budget is implemented to the latter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Bukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to support these estimates for the 2025-2026 budget estimates. I'm a member of the Budget and Appropriation Committee. I'm the Vice Chair. And I want to thank my chair and my colleagues from the Budget and Appropriation for the time and effort which they put into analyzing this budget and listening to the various chairs of the committees. And I can see some of the chairs here, the Honorable Murugaro, the Honorable Powen, the Honorable Tongoyo, the Honorable KJ of ICT, and Honorable Speaker, I think this, and Honorable Nyikal, my chair for the Health Committee. Honorable Speaker, this has been a very involving budget where committees, departmental chairs have engaged their committees, appeared before the Budget and Appropriation after listening to the ministries and sagas. And I think having gone through this budget, Honorable Speaker, this budget, what would ask the Treasury who appeared before the Budget and Appropriation Committee is that they make sure they release money in time, because that has been the biggest problem. They must release money in time so that these projects can be implemented. This budget is very informative. It is very, it's affecting all the parts of this country. I would say it applies equity in it. Many of the farmers who are involved in coffee, as my chair put it, there is 2 billion for the coffee cherry fund. And maybe some of the farmers might not understand this, and they end up going to the banks to borrow money, which has very high interest rates. And that makes the farming activity a little bit very expensive. They should apply for this cherry fund, which has low interest rates. In addition to that, we've given fertilizer subsidy of 8 billion. But not just that, there is also subsidy to the Kenya seed for the provision of seed maize and other seeds. There is also money for mopping up of the legumes within the region. And this through KNTC, and maybe KNTC can also involve the cereals, so that you have mopping of the legumes. You also have 2 billion for the sugar sector to ensure that the reforms take place. And as you heard His Excellency the President when he was in Homa Bay, he said we've not sold out these sugar companies. What we've done is we've leased it out. And this leasing out is to make sure that these sugar companies become productive. They turn around the sugar sector. Because for many years, our farmers, especially in the Nyanza, in Western and the coastal region, who have engaged in sugar farming, they've not been doing well due to a lot of mismanagement, corruption, and that has ended up discouraging farmers. But we hope that now, with this 2 billion and also the reforms within the sugar sector, that things will move in the right direction. Honorable Speaker has put it very clearly. We are working in a limited financial constraints. And therefore, in the revenue-raising measures, many people have said we should not borrow more. We should not continue incurring more debts. And therefore, I want to urge our county governments, especially through the Senate, that the 4 or 5.1 billion that is being given to the counties, plus the additional 69 billion, which is the conditional additional allocation to the counties, if that money is utilized well, we should be able to see development. In the recent conditional additional allocation to the counties that was done, my county of Trans Nzoia got 96 million for doing the roads. And I hope that the county government will utilize that money in a proper way to make sure that towns like Endebess and Kitale Town and Kiminini Town are properly done roads within that area. Honorable Speaker, as put it by many of my colleagues, when you move into the counties or constituencies, it is easier for you to see a project that has been done by CDF. But it is very difficult to see a project that has been done by the counties. In this budget, the CDF money has been enhanced to 58 billion, and we hope that the money for CDF for this financial year will be released before the end of the financial year so that members can be able to do their projects. We also hope that money for the next financial year will be released in timely so that the counties, the constituencies, can be able to also do their projects. Honorable Speaker, agriculture is the backbone of this country. With the 8 billion subsidy for fertilizer and the 2 billion for Kenya seed to subsidize on seed maize, we hope that our production of food will be able to increase. And this ensures that Kenya is able to feed its own citizens. It's food secure. And that is what we've achieved since this government came in place. We've had good rainfalls, we've had good production, and I think now we don't see anybody carrying sufuria in the head to say bei ya ugali iende chini. And I think that is good. My friend Honorable Oundo is happy that the price of ugali has gone down. And recently, I think the government also subsidized on unga, and now people are happy. So we shall keep it that way, that we, the farmers, will continue producing more of the maize, more of the wheat, more of the coffee, more of the tea, so that we can have enough for our own food and even have enough to export. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, we've provided 2 billion for the recruitment of KDF. We've also provided money for the recruitment of our 10,000 police officers. And this will go a long way in enhancing security within our country. KDF has not been able to recruit for the last 2 or 3 years. And therefore, we need to beef up our security. We're facing new threats within in security areas. Many of our neighbors are unstable, and therefore we must be able to equip our armed forces to make sure that our country is well protected. And in operations, we've been able to provide 6 billion. So, Honorable Speaker, I think this is a very progressive budget. It will take us to the next level, and therefore, with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support.
The Honorable Beatrice Alachi, followed by the Honorable Lesuda, and then Makali, in that order. Then we come back to the next round.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to first thank the committee and to thank the Chair and the CS of Treasury. Indeed, for bringing in a budget that we can interrogate, but also appreciate on how they have tried to bring an inclusive budget that takes care of the whole country. And Mr. Speaker, mine will be very brief. That number one, I want to appreciate the docket that I always say that carries Kenya, the education docket. And first, to appreciate that as much as you've given them 168.2 billion for transformative education initiatives, the most important thing we are looking at is first, you've returned the money for examinations, and so at least Kenyans will appreciate that the 5.9 billion has come back for examination. You remember it had brought in a lot of heated debate, but we thank for that. We are also appreciating that as much as we're giving money, the 17.2 billion to support university funding model, and to ensure that we also have help that will enable students from all backgrounds to be able also to get money to pursue their tertiary education. But more importantly, one thing the Ministry of Education should do to this country is to give every child, Mr. Speaker, a NEMIS number. The day we will have a NEMIS number for our children is the day we will have the correct capitation and the correct budget for the Ministry of Education. We shall be able to know how much do we really spend. Because even in my own constituencies, I am still pushing, Mr. Speaker, just to get resources for our children, because those who don't have birth certificates will never get these resources, will never get capitation. That is why they are saying in a school is getting 400 shillings. The problem is not our house here. The problem is the ministry that has not brought NEMIS numbers for our children. Mr. Speaker, the other thing I would wish to now appreciate is that now we shall move on with the Nyota program. And this program, you remember, we were unable to implement because we didn't have money that we were supposed to support. And you remember, the World Bank wanted us to have a program that you equalize. You have the ministry, the government supporting in and World Bank supporting in. And now there are 100 youths that will be in our constituencies are able to start. Those who believe in small businesses will be able to tap and at least do small businesses. With 50,000, you can start something, Mr. Speaker. The other thing is the UHC program. we appreciate. I know many of them were very worried. They were sending messages, please ensure. And now we have them in the budget. Their monies are there to ensure they are permanent and pensionable. Funding of Linda Mama, which is very critical in the health docket, is also there, Mr. Speaker. And we want to thank the committee of even going beyond that and looking at gender-based violence, and now saying that the government must fund and ensure even the technical teams that are working on gender-based violence are funded. And that is one thing we want to really appreciate, even as we move on. Mr. Speaker, the other thing now that is very worrying, and this is what I want to plead with the governors, even as we look at the issue of mediation, that why can't we agree as both houses that the little monies we can get, we pay pending bills? Because these Kenyans who supplied either at the county level, at the national level, they supplied, you have used their products. Mr. Speaker, they have gone down, they have been auctioned by banks. The best thing we can do in this budget is to try and ensure, instead of talking about 480, 460, going to the county, that we have ensured we take off some money to pay our fellow Kenyans who have supplied and every day, in, out, they work in offices because of their pending bills. I think that is the most sad part of the whole process. So, Mr. Speaker, even as we look at everything that we have done, if we don't come up with a solution of these pending bills, Mr. Speaker, it will be very sad to every Kenyan who tries to work for government, who knows very well that there was need to supply this item. They did supply, and now can't be paid. And then now we reach at a point, we start saying, Mr. Speaker, oh, we must put a committee to look whether this was true, this was right. Why are we looking at that? It means we are all with a problem, Mr. Speaker. That is why we come up with such a ways of now measuring and saying, this is how I have to pay. Somebody who supplied you, somebody you know very well, did his work. So, Mr. Speaker, even as I finalize, I just want to go and now look at the Department of Defense. And Mr. Speaker, in the Department of Defense, this is what the committee observed, that during the periods of 1992, 1997, 1998, 2000, the Ministry of Defense did not conduct any recruitment resulting in significant deficiencies in the posture of the Kenya Defense Forces. And so they are saying to remedy this situation, it is important, and they are requesting for 2 billion shillings to support recruitment efforts this fiscal year, which I support. And the reasons are, it is true. And we have gone slowly by slowly. One of the things we are not doing fair to our disciplinary forces is that even the things they used to benefit, we used to exempt them because of the work they go through, Mr. Speaker. We used to ensure they are able, we provide for them, because this was a service you have gone out there to protect your country, Mr. Speaker. And even today, for those who their loved ones have fallen, you will find now their wives and children suffering because we have never put in a way of protecting. And so it is important for us, even those veterans, they have done their duties for us. I think it is important for government to look at and ensure it is, yes, not misused, because I know maybe it was removed. Most of these privileges are being removed because we ourselves again go and end up misusing. But for those who are in the camps, for those who we know are there, they're in Somalia, they are where, they need us to come up with a favorable way of ensuring they are also protected. Today I even see even our own police, Mr. Speaker. You find even the uniform is gone. The shoe is gone. Honestly. And you are expecting him or her to stand and do duty for you. I think it's very unfortunate. They are the first we need to protect because we took them to that duty and they have come out, they are doing it. So for us even to look at all this, Mr. Speaker, it is time we also need to look at just the dignity. Even as we look for their housing, and I want to appreciate Central Bank and all those who are doing institutional affordable housing for those who are working for them. We must remember they are the brand of the country, the image of our country. They have to have a uniform that dignifies them. Mr. Speaker, the institutions that deal with corruption, they were there to help us. And so EACC was not just there to take you to court. It was there to help you, Mr. Speaker, that after they have found that you have mismanaged, they will come into the institution and assist this institution so that next time there's no mismanagement of resources. The Auditor General, Mr. Speaker, it is there to audit, yes, but it's also there to help that institution so that in the next audit, you are not supposed to find the same mistake that was audited, the same mistake. Then what was the purpose of the auditing? It was to clean. We brought in these institutions to help us so that in our mismanagements, we are able to manage. So I'm pleading to those institutions also. It's not just about bringing in a bad report. It is about saying we audited County X, Constituency X, Sector X last year, but this year we have a recognition to say that this institution has improved in the way they are doing their things. That way then, there is a purpose of us spending all these public resources, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, with those remarks, I beg to support.
Honorable Lesuda. Oh, you take precedent of her. Is that it? Okay. Okay.
We stop. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I discussed with my sister, Honorable Resuta, and she has agreed that I take the slot. So, Honorable Speaker,
to say.
Mr. Speaker, I did not mean to interrupt the Honorable Makale Molu, but just to request your indulgence because budget is a very important, it's a very important affair. If it is within the to request that if we members can take only 5 minutes to contribute, so that today and tomorrow most of the members can contribute.
Indeed.
Yes. 5.
The rules, order, Honorable Watch. The chair has had. If it's in your wisdom, to take as little time as possible so that you can have many people who will partake in this. Order, Honorable Lesuda. You have your time, and the time is spelled out. So if you want to take it, the chair has no authority or power to limit you. This should have been done at the beginning of the debate. But now that now that your own colleagues are telling you take less time so that we can all. Okay, let's observe that, gentlewoman, gentleman.
okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mutuse, you've not been a first timer. We understand these things are done at the start of the motion. But I just want to say that I'll try to be brief so that we save time. So this will depend on individual members. But I'll be brief, Honorable Speaker, and this is what I want to say, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think I really want to appreciate the departmental committees for their presentations and the budget committee for doing this good work. It wasn't easy to do this budget because of the very restrictive fiscal space. And on the basis of that, Honorable Speaker, we're ready to see what really can be prioritized in this budget. And Honorable Speaker, as I debate this budget, I just want to focus on what must be done for this budget to make sense to Kenyans. And unless this is done, Honorable Speaker, then this budget is likely to have minimal impact to the lives of Kenyans. the first thing that must be done, Honorable Speaker, is that exchequer releases must be done in time. So long as we have a budget which is not supported by exchequer releases, Honorable Speaker, it will be a waste of time. Over time, we have been implementing budget very low percentages because of challenging environment in terms of exchequer release. The second thing which must be done, Honorable Speaker, and this must be done for this budget to make sense, it is, Honorable Speaker, that this House, where I sit, and we all sit, we must ensure that recommendations from the Office of the Auditor General are implemented, Honorable Speaker. Through the Public Accounts Committee, we have so many recommendations which have been adopted by this House, but they are never implemented, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, accounting officers are taking this House for a ride, because so long as you don't enforce those recommendations, they continue doing the fun things they do every day. Third thing, Honorable Speaker, that must be implemented or enforced is the issue of public debt, Honorable Speaker. During these discussions of the budget this year, Honorable Speaker, it was reported that this country has paid for the last 3 years 6.7 billion in terms of commitment fee, Honorable Speaker. Commitment fee is fees which is paid by the country for undrawn loans. We have signed for loans, we are not drawing the loans. So we have spent 6.7 billion, Honorable Speaker. You can imagine what 6.7 billion can do, Honorable Speaker. For the exams, which were not factored in, we only provided 5.9 billion, and now that matter is settled. We still have changed if you are to consider the 6.7 billion. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, that must be done if this budget has to make sense to Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, this budget committee has provided 4 billion for land compensation. But Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you, Kenyans out there have donated their land for public goods and services. And so many of them have not been compensated. Honorable Speaker, if these Kenyans have to see this budget making sense to them, we must ensure that as we move to the future, we provide enough resources so that we compensate people for their land. Third thing which must be done, Honorable Speaker, and I want to agree totally with what Honorable Eracha said, is the issue of corruption in this country. Honorable Speaker, as we are discussing this budget, the committee, I think on the committee takes care on small-scale enterprises, reported that the accounting officer in charge of the ASRA fund reported they could not recover 5 billion, the money which has been dispersed. And Honorable Speaker, we are saying, how do you dare add resources to a department or MDA where resources have not been accounted for? So if this budget has to make sense, Honorable Speaker, must make sure that issue of misappropriation must be stopped, Honorable Speaker. The other thing which must be done, Honorable Speaker, if this budget has to make sense, is the issue of equalization fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, equalization fund since the Constitution of 2010 has been budgeted for year in, year out. But these resources are never released to the implementing departments in the rural setting. So the whole essence of equalization fund, Honorable Speaker, is dying because we are not releasing the funds as expected. Third thing, Honorable Speaker, which must be done for this budget to make sense is the issue of public participation. Honorable Speaker, these honorable members of this committee have gone out to Kenyans in the counties and have gotten projects from the counties saying, County IEBC, this is what we would want to see being done this financial year. In the immediate last financial year, Honorable Speaker, the year actually we are implementing now, Honorable Speaker, the money for public participation was removed in a supplementary budget. Honorable Speaker, this budget cannot make sense if we continue entertaining situations where public participation money is removed from the budget, either through supplementary budget. So we are saying public participation money, because it is money being proposed by Kenyans out there, must be respected, and the Treasury has no authority to touch that money, Honorable Speaker. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, for this budget to make sense, what that must be done, is the issue of the pending bills. Honorable Speaker, I think Elacha said it. Unless we clear the pending bills, Honorable Speaker, we'll continue lamenting as a country. And Honorable Speaker, these pending bills are held by Kenyans. Kenyans who have provided goods, Kenyans who have provided services to this country or to the government. It is time, Honorable Speaker, we cleared these pending bills. And then, Honorable Speaker, there is the issue of the verification committees, which to me I think is a deliberate move to delay clearing of pending bills. These verification committees, Honorable Speaker, must move with speed to make sure that then we clear these pending bills. The last item, before I sit down, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of prioritization, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I still think from where I sit that when you look at the projects and programs which have gone to this government, these projects, this budget, Honorable Speaker, I think there is still room for improvement. Some of the programs and projects we are getting to this project, to this budget, Honorable Speaker, we might do better if we were to take slightly more time so that in terms of prioritization, we get it right, Honorable Speaker, because I think for me, we are not getting it 100%. There is still a room of about 30%. And if we improve that 30%, Honorable Speaker, we can easily, Honorable Speaker, do with minimal borrowing. I remember the majority leader did say that we are borrowing about 878 billion, which is 4.5% of the GDP. Honorable Speaker, if we go right to prioritization, we could easily, Honorable Speaker, reduce this deficit to about 3%, and the less we borrow, Honorable Speaker, the better for this country, because borrowing has squeezed our fiscal space to a level that we have no space to do any development. Last item, Honorable Speaker, the Outer General has reported that a third of the budget, which is about $1 trillion, Honorable Speaker, cannot be accounted for. We are borrowing 900 billion. $1 trillion cannot be accounted for. Speaker, you just need to do that mathematics. If you make the wastage zero, you'll be remaining about 100 billion without borrowing. I submit, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the time you've given me. Thank you so much. I support.
Madam Lesuda, and then followed by Honorable Muchira, and then Bowen, and then Tongoi. Yeah, watch, I'll be certainly. Okay, proceed, Lesuda. If you take minimal time, then everybody will have a chance.
Thank you, Speaker. I will do my best to take the shortest time possible and not repeat what my colleagues have said. Thank you for this opportunity. And first and foremost, I would like to congratulate, because I sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Chairman Honorable Atandi, who was the chair during this session, and also to congratulate the former chairperson of Budget and Appropriation Committee, Honorable Ndindi. He also chaired during a very difficult time when we had that, as a country, we inherited empty coffers, and also we had the issue of the collapsed finance bill. We had him as the chair, and I want to congratulate him and to thank him for the time that he was chairman, and Honorable Atandi for his good stewardship during this budget process. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak on a number of issues, and one of them is that in this budget, there are a number of fears that Kenyans had. And one of them was the issue of examinations. Actually, in one of the places that we were at, when I was walking out, I had one Kenyan asking me, are you going to support examination to be supported during this budget, or do I move my child? But Mr. Speaker, we assured that Kenyan that there will be money to support examinations during this year, Mr. Speaker. And this I would like to speak to the policy makers, that when you change policies, you have to do it thoughtfully, and it doesn't have to take this house to come and reinstate. It can't be when Kenyans are making noise about the examination money is when you're saying, oh, the private schools, oh, I don't know what. Just do the policy, do the public participation way ahead of the budget, or by the time we are moving the budget, Mr. Speaker. So it is very important that, because those are the things that cause anxiety, Those are the things that are causing anxiety even for the current government because of the policy change. Policies also follow resources. And so it can't be that one person wakes up this morning and says, remove examination fee, and then Kenyans make noise, return examination fee, and then some of it, private schools, some people can afford it. It is important that we look at the policies that we make, and so that they do not bring anxiety amongst Kenyans. I would also want to say this, Mr. Speaker, that it is important for Kenyans to note that we have moved to 4.2 trillion this budget, and it is important also to note that there are key sectors that have been factored. And one of the factors, and even as members of parliament, we always get a message when the money for older persons, 25.7 billion has been factored this financial year, and we always get a message when that money has been released. There's also money for persons living with disability, 1.5 billion, and overseas, 9.1 billion. And so it is important to note that we are taking care of the most vulnerable in our society and in our communities. We have been seeing also the UHC workers, and especially those who worked very hard, especially when we had COVID in our country. The 6.1 billion towards making permanent and pensionable has been factored, and I do hope that by the end of this year, they will all be onboarded. Mr. Speaker, also we have money for livestock insurance, 2.3 billion. And we also have Kenya Livestock Commercialization Program, 1.57 billion. Mr. Speaker, there is an issue of equalization fund, which has been spoken to by my colleague, Honorable Makali. We have to have an honest conversation, and even as this House, which passes the same policies, and I know that the third policy is coming up, Mr. Speaker, we have to agree that this issue of delocalizing more equalization fund to ward level is not working. There was a reason why in the Constitution we had the counties that were listed in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And I know that in a few years, many of us will be asking why equalization fund is not working. It is not working because we moved from the, I think it's 13 counties, and we went further towards, Mr. Speaker, and so a ward gets about 7 million. Equalization fund was to move us from where we were to where the rest of the country was. So now if we continue with the policy that we have, and I know that there's another policy coming up, we have to give the money to the counties where the Constitution spoke about, so that equalization fund can actually make sense, Mr. Speaker, so that those counties can also move from where we are to where we are. Because equalization fund, every time we ask for any additional funds in the budget, as counties who are beneficiaries of the equalization fund, we are told, but you have equalization fund. But it is this same House who raided the counties who are to be beneficiaries of equalization fund, Mr. Speaker. And so it is important that we discuss and that. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that in this budget we have issue of last mile. Some of our counties, where I come from, we are very, some money will be taken in and it will cater for long lines of electricity, Mr. Speaker. We all know and understand that electricity is a game changer, just as water. Mr. Speaker, a budget in some counties, there are counties in this House, Mr. Speaker, or constituencies, who actually don't need any transformers anymore. They have electricity up to nowhere. But there are counties, Mr. Speaker, in this House or constituencies who actually need electricity. Actually, there are counties like my county, we are less than 20%, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure Marakwet is the same. I'm sure Marsabit is the same. And so the money being given to REREC, they should look at the counties and the constituencies where they have the minimal allocation or the coverage of electricity, Mr. Speaker. As I get to the end, there is also the issue of water, which is a key issue, and it's important that we ensure that also those areas where we have issues of water are taken care of. And in this budget, Mr. Speaker, we actually looked at it. And I want to also thank the departmental committees for the work that they actually did. There's also the issue of community health promoters. There is 3.2 billion. Mr. Speaker, the issue of pending bill and corruption. We cannot continue to politicize those two issues. We either have to do it or not do it as a country. Pending bill, we also have to think why we commit what we don't have as a country, because that's why it becomes a pending bill. If a ministry or a department does not have the money, why are you engaging a contractor without the money, without the exchequer? So, you know, we can romanticize and make it look good because we are defending contractors whose pending bill has not been paid. And they should learn from NGCDF, because NGCDF is what has received the highest bashing. But I want to say NGCDF is one of the best examples that people have to look at. You can never commit what you don't have. If it is not in your code list, if it is not in your AIE, if you pay before, it will not be paid, Mr. Speaker. And so we have to rethink as a country that it cannot just be until you have the money, you cannot engage. But also the issue of exchequer, it cannot also be left to Treasury to decide who gets the money and not. Finally, because I've seen the light on issue of corruption. The day we stop politicizing corruption as a country is when it will work. So that it doesn't matter that today you've shifted camps in government. You know, it is almost becoming ridiculous because Kenyans can read through the politics of corruption. If we are going for any member who is engaged in corruption, Mr. Speaker, as a nation, Mr. Speaker, just give me 1 minute to conclude this issue of corruption and then just 1 minute. You know, we have to be serious, also even as a country in this house. We cannot continue to talk about corruption, but it is very, very obvious that the last time you are in UDA, you are being arrested. Now you are not being arrested because as a governor or as an MP. Now you've gone to Amonyoro, you're being arrested. If you're engaged in corruption, you are engaged in corruption. It doesn't matter which side you are on. So we either become serious as a nation and as a country, or we stop talking about the issue of corruption. Or you just have to be on the right side of government. I was with one governor who told me, I am on a certain side, but I have to be good so that I am not gone for. You know, we have to be real as a country. Otherwise, we stop discussing these issues of corruption every time, corruption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Moshira. Yes.
Thank you for Oljorok to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I start to support the motion as it was moved by the chairman for Budget and Appropriation Committee. And Mr. Speaker, I want to really thank the chairman and the members of the Budget Committee where I serve, because through constant engagement with the Treasury, this budget, in these estimates, we have reduced the fiscal deficit from 5.1 in the last financial year to 4.5 in the coming fiscal year 25-26. And Mr. Speaker, this has been achieved by ensuring that we have realistic revenue projection, because, Mr. Speaker, previously we've been over-projecting our revenue. But in the tabled budget estimates, we've ensured that we have the projected revenue is as realistic as possible. Mr. Speaker, we've also achieved this through the rationalization of the expenditure by ensuring that we have included only the essential expenditure estimates. But speaking of the fiscal deficit, Mr. Speaker, we've also realized that we've been focusing so much on the revenue side through taxation measures and such. And in this report, Mr. Speaker, we have recommended that we also focus on the expenditure side by ensuring that we eliminate wasteful expenditure in the government. And one of the sectors that we picked is the rental expenditure. The government department and SAGA, we realized that we pay billions of money every year in terms of rent. And some of the leases, actually, Mr. Speaker, are entered in dollar denomination, such that when we had volatility in our sharing, we were paying huge amount of money in terms of rent. And one of the recommendations that we've made is that we should ensure that we reform our rent policy and ensure that we are optimally using our revenue space that we have. And number two, by ensuring that we do cost-benefit analysis such that we check the amount of rent that we are paying and we compare with how much we would incur if we were to buy a building to act as an office space for our officers. And number two, Mr. Speaker, we also took notice of our appropriation in aids. And we found that the projected appropriation in aid come in the next fiscal year is 560 billion. And Mr. Speaker, as a committee, we recommended that we need to reassess the overall framework governing our A&A. And in these estimates, we have allocated some money towards full operationalization of the Treasury Single account to ensure that our collection of appropriation in aid is transparent, accountable, and efficiency. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, as I go to education sector, as many other speakers have said, we've provided money to recruit 20,000 interns in the coming fiscal year. We've also provided resources for promotion of teachers. But as we do this, Mr. Speaker, we also recommended that the promotion of teachers needs to be transparent and fair. Back in our constituencies, we have many teachers complaining that they attend interviews, but they are never promoted. The TSC needs to change their policy such that the promotion is fair and transparent. We've also allocated funds for medical scheme for the teachers. And again, this is another area that TSC needs to look at. We have so many complaints out there from our teachers that, for instance, in the medical scheme that they have, that if, for instance, you have two beneficiaries who are sick, you are told to choose one that will be treated. And this is unfair, Mr. Speaker. And of course, as many other speakers have said, we've provided money for exams, KCSE, CAPSEA, and grade 9 exams. So our students need to rest easy and work hard because their exams will be catered for. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I need to mention And this issue I also raised in the last financial year, the issue of Senate Oversight Fund. And it's important for members to know in this budget, there is 500 million for the Senate Oversight Fund. This is not money for development. It's important for the public to know some senators take home as high as 29 million, not for development, for the oversight. How they get extra money for oversight, yet they are paid, they have salaries to oversight. How they get extra money to oversight, not for development, 29 million. Mr. Speaker, there are women reps who get 6 million a year, and we are able to see what they are doing with 6 million. This is 29 million, one senator, 25 million, another senator, money for fuel, I don't know money for what, to do the oversight. It is time, Mr. Speaker, this House, and there is no legal framework for this money. There is no legal framework for the Senate Oversight Fund. So it is time this House, the National Assembly, which has the sole mandate of budgeting and appropriation of fund, take a hard stance and make the right decision in terms of appropriation of this money. 500 million, Mr. Speaker, is the money that if it's taken to NGCDF, every constituency would get enough money to do classrooms. We still have issues with the classrooms in our constituencies. Mr. Speaker, as I support the estimate. Thank you.
Honorable Kanguku Bowen. Yeah, there are members the previous speaker had designated to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the budget estimate 2025-2026. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to start by congratulating my good friend, the member for Aleko Usonga, and the chair of budget, Mheshimiwa Atandi, for a very good report. Mr. Speaker, we as chairs of committees, we had an engagement with the Budget and Appropriation Committee led by the Honorable Atandi. And Mr. Speaker, it was a very, very interactive session where all of us, we had to present what the ministries, the departments presented before us. And what I have seen from the chair is what actually we presented. Initially, Mr. Speaker, we have had in maybe one or two occasions, we have had issues with the budget committee in the past, where sometimes the departmental committee chairs, when they submit their reports, it is mutilated, and the document you see in the floor and what we presented was different. But this time around, Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm that what we presented is actually what's in the floor of the House, and I want to congratulate the Honorable Chair. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee and the Treasury for the good job they have done. It's a balanced budget. It's a very balanced budget in terms of regional projects, in terms of cutting across the departments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have seen the allocation given to the executive, given to the judiciary, and given to this House or the Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I would want to ask the Honorable Chair and the Budget Committee next time, we need to see on how we can increase the budget of judiciary to complete some projects which they had started. There are so many high courts and low courts which have stalled in many stages, in many counties, in many constituencies. Mr. Speaker, some of us where we come from, we have to travel almost 200 kilometers to just access, that is the nearest magistrate court. So there is need to take these judicial services closer to the people. And I will support, Mr. Speaker, if there will be an increment in the budget for judiciary. Mr. Speaker,
The Honorable Chair of the Justice and Legal Affairs is obviously taking note of that, including the stalled construction of the High Court in Homa Bay.
yes, not only that one in Homa Bay, Mr. Speaker, if you are given an account of the stalled projects or the High Courts and magistrates across the country, there are many. And there is need, Mr. Speaker, that's why we are saying, going forward, as we appropriate monies, Mr. Speaker, let us start first checking on the pending bills. The second charge, Mr. Speaker, must be ongoing projects. Before we start a new projects, Mr. Speaker, there is need to complete the already ongoing projects. There are so many ongoing projects in roads, in water, in electricity, which are ongoing, but they have stalled. Mr. Speaker, having said that, the allocation, Mr. Speaker, given to agriculture is very encouraging. You saw last year, Mr. Speaker, especially some of us coming from the North Rift region, which are dealing with maize. When farmers were given a subsidized fertilizers, Mr. Speaker, there's been, I think, triple production of maize across the country. What we only need to ask, Mr. Speaker, is that these farmers actually, they have been encouraged to produce. But sometimes, again, the market or the price given is very low. There is need, Mr. Speaker, to, allocate more resources to National Cereals and Produce Board so that they can purchase at least more than 5,000, using 5,000 per 90 kilogram of maize. Mr. Speaker, I have also seen in the budget the allocation given to the Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, if you remember, some 3 months ago, Kenyans were complaining. There were a lot of complaints about the SHA, but now the complaints has gone down. And with the additional allocation given to the SHA, the primary health care, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure our people will benefit if they are able to register themselves in large numbers and register themselves using the county system. Mr. Speaker, they will benefit from this healthcare system. Mr. Speaker, on the water sector, which I chair, Mr. Speaker, the budget allocated to water, Mr. Speaker, is very low. Given that water provision is a constitutional issue under Article 43, Honorable Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, there is a proposal I had made before this House that there is need to have an allocation per constituency, if possible, Mr. Speaker, even to start with 50 million per constituency. So that, Mr. Speaker, we have a balance and we have our people have access even to the smallest water service, if it's a borehole or even a water pan, Mr. Speaker. As it is, Mr. Speaker, you will find sometimes that the donor-funded projects running into billions of shillings is at one corner of the country. The GOK, maybe again, you will find that there is a big dam of about 50 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion. It's been under construction for the last 20 years. Mr. Speaker, the people have not access, they don't have an access to water. These dams, they have been constructing for over 20, 30 years. But if you can have that 30, 20, 40 billion, which is allocated to dams, Mr. Speaker, allocate every constituency, for instance, 100 million only. 100 million, Mr. Speaker, adds up to almost 28 billion. Only 28 billion, every constituency will get 100 million. And we have 100 million in every constituency, Mr. Speaker. That will be a big impact in terms of water provision. But as it is, Mr. Speaker, we need to run away from these big dams. Let's complete those which are already stalled and now put money to projects which people can access water. Within a month or 2 months, those projects must be completed and people have access to water. Mr. Speaker, on the last mile connectivity, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Naisula Lesuda spoke about this. Many constituencies in Nairobi here, they sometimes they are oversupplied. Sometimes even they don't need some of this money for electricity, last mile connectivity. But Mr. Speaker, if you come to where we are coming from, you go to the northern Kenya, Kerio Valley, where I come from. In my constituency, Mr. Speaker, I have less than 10% connectivity. Less than 10% connectivity. In some other areas, they have 100% connectivity. Mr. Speaker, when we are allocating the monies for last mile connectivity, there is need for the ministry, Mr. Speaker, to prioritize the lowest areas, Mr. Speaker. And this one, Mr. Speaker, I think as a house, we need to take it very seriously so that we can have every Kenyan benefit from this issue of electricity. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, the pending bills is very important. There are so many contractors in this country. There are so many people who have worked. Some of them, they have been auctioned. Some of them, they have sold their properties to service government tenders and projects. But they have not been paid. They have been sold. Mr. Speaker, and paying the pending bills, it will trickle down, to the driver of that contract, to the mama who is doing cooking the githeri around that area. So, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, high support.
Thank you so much, Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to add my voice into what my colleagues had already said. Honorable Speaker, from the very start, I want to take this opportunity to really commend the Budget Committee, led by the very able chair, Honorable Samuel Atandi, for a job well done. Honorable Speaker, it should not be lost to us that Atandi, this is his first assignment as a chair budget, and he has really managed to do it with precision and expertise. That actually we can just say it is well done. Congratulations. And of course, you don't also forget the entire Budget Committee for supporting the able chair. On the same, Honorable Speaker, the entire departmental committee that have also put a lot of efforts and added value into this. They took a lot of their time, burned the midnight oil, listening and interrogating the state departments to bring this document to what it is today. It wasn't easy, Honorable Speaker, but I really want to commend my colleagues. It was really a sign of commitment and dedication. Honorable Speaker, I won't take much time, and I want just to highlight a few critical areas that have been factored in this budget. And I want to start by talking about agriculture, Honorable Speaker. We all know the critical importance that agriculture is at the backbone of our economy. And since the inception of the Kenya Kwanza government, the agriculture sector has continuously taken forefront in budget allocation. And it should not be lost on us, Honorable Speaker, that when William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza took over the government, they had a very robust policy of investing not in consumption, but really in putting a lot of focus in production. And that is where the issue of the fertilizer subsidy really took center stage. And we can attest to that it has really given us good results. The food production in the country has continued to be very in the steady increase. The food prices has really gone down, and even the inflation rate in the country, which is very commendable, Honorable Speaker. It is also notable, Honorable Speaker, that the subsidy has continuously been actually considered heavily in budget allocation, which is something very, Honorable Speaker, commendable. We also appreciate, Honorable Speaker, that even actually in the provision of the sugar reform, including the operationalization of the Sugar Act 2024, which through this budget, it has got an allocation of about 370 million. And it's also good to note that even some money has been allocated for the provision of the cotton revitalization. And more importantly, Honorable Speaker, the 2.3 billion that has been allocated for de-risking, which goes a long way to cushion and help the pastoralist community mitigating the drought that we actually getting the impact year in, year out. And of course, as a member also coming from the pastoralist community, this is going to be a game changer. It is something that has never been there before. And I know even the issue to do with the milk is going to help these communities. Honorable Speaker, also to mention, of course, the issue of water. I don't want to belabor more. The chair water has mentioned about it, where there's some money allocated, but I still believe that we need to do it more. We know, of course, that being an agricultural economy, water is so crucial in realization of this. And I think the issue of there's more that we need to give more emphasis on the issue of water. On the issue of road, Honorable Speaker, we need to appreciate where we were as a country from the start. There was a lot of debts on the sector of road. And of course, the policy of sectorization of our roads is really going, it's done much to at least open up majority of the country that previously has been neglected, so that they can able to realize development in their areas as well. Honorable Speaker, on the issues of education, is notable to see that as a country, as a government, we are continuously allocating a big chunk of our budget in the education sector, because we all appreciate the importance of an educated young youth society in our country toward modernization and toward industrialization, Honorable Speaker. And I think it's really commendable. Quickly, Honorable Speaker, I want to go to a critical area where in the State Department that I oversight as a chair. And more importantly, Honorable Speaker, in the ministry, in the State Department of National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission, there is about 2.8 billion that has been allocated in this financial year to take into account the recruitment of our national police officers, which we are considering about 10,000 recruit, both the cadets and the constables. You know, Honorable Speaker, because you sit in that committee, that the Commission envisioned to recruit 10,000 because we have to appreciate as a country that for the last 3 years, we have not done any recruitment, and we are going toward elections, and we're already even having a natural attrition of about 4,500. The money is not enough, and discussions are still underway to see to it how to close the gap. But it's not to appreciate that it is a positive step, Honorable Speaker, and our Kenya is eager. We had also promised them that we are going to do above board, a more transparent, devoid of any corruption recruitment when the time comes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as a way to continuously equipping our security officers who are really doing their best to keep this country safe. The modernization program that has been envisioned has been allocated about 3.4 billion to continue equipping our security agents, and especially in the police service, with equipment and tools of service so that they can able to perform their duty and their mandate more effectively to protect the country that they so love and are patriotic. And you know it well, Honorable Chair, Speaker, that it's a long-term program that is expected or estimated approximately to take about 30 billion. We have done slightly above 10 billion, and probably moving forward, it is going to continuously getting some budgets. Honorable Speaker, in the steel immigration sector, it is worth appreciating that immigration sector, the passport, the national IDs, the ITA, the issue of the visa, has been allocated a fairly good budget, so that as a country we continue doing at least to handle the crisis that there was before. We remember a year ago, so the whole big problem, long queues in the Nyayo House, because of Kenyans who come there, queue for a week, queue for even a month, waiting the passport documents. Others even miss to travel for medical care and other reasons, just because we could not process the passport and provide them in real time. And now, with this allocation and continuously giving more consideration, I want to really appreciate and say that Kenyans are getting passports in good time. And that is the spirit. Of course, this House had recommended the A in A, so that the ministry will be able to be prosecuting their mandate with less problems, not necessarily relying on the exchequer releases. And it has really been, again, a game changer in this sector. We all know that the issue of ID, the President, His Excellency the President, has done away with the vetting. And our brothers in the northeastern part, the pastoralist community, who has been the victims of the issue of unnecessary vetting, had really appreciated this, and it has gone a long way to help them, because all along they have been treated as less citizen, second-class citizens. And with the support, budgetary support of this program, I'm sure we are going to really reap big. And Kenyans in those areas that have been previously affected are going to appreciate this. Honorable Speaker, also I want to talk about the issue.
Yes, the point is making the operationalization of the new legal-settled administration units is critical. You need 2 or 3 minutes. Add him 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your consideration. Colleagues, what I was talking about, all over this country, we have got a lot of gazetted units running from sub-counties, divisions, and locations, which it has been a constant statement sought in this House. And in this budget, we had managed to allocate 600 million to take care at least of the most crucial. But as I said it before, Honorable Speaker, we needed about 2.4 billion to have the entire, all gazetted unit operationalized. So I still implore this House, through even the budget chair, that maybe moving forward in supplementary 3 possible or supplementary 1, more likely we continue to look for more resources to put into this program, so that we can able to have Kenya enjoy the success of having government officers next to them. Honorable Speaker, I want to say I support
what
this.
What did you say about the elders, the village elders you've been talking about? Is there a provision for them?
The village elders, Honorable Speaker, good for your indulgence, Honorable Speaker. We all know in this House that we have already a bill in this House. And it was sponsored by the late Malulu. I took over the bill where we wanted to legislate the village elders so that we have them recognized in law, so that we can able to budget for. So it is a work in progress. I want to promise the country and this House that soon or later, we have already a policy from the ministry almost in place. It is undergoing validation, and the regulations are undergoing validation. We have got a bit of a budget for that. But now, until we have the bill, that is when we can able to have this fully realized. So that is what I have to say, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Chairs Murugara, I see the Honorable
So thank you so much. I support.
Yes, I see the Honorable Chair for Health, and of course the members, the leadership. I can see all of you. I wanted to make an exception to allow Honorable Dido Raso to say, have his contribution for the reasons you know, that people of his faith are currently fasting, and he wants to leave. He's fasting. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for indulging me. And I really wish to beg my colleagues to bear with me. Indeed, I am fasting. and I really wanted to contribute and go away. Honorable Speaker, let me on the onset thank and congratulate the committee headed by Honorable Atandi. And looking through this particular document of the budget 25-26, there are a few areas that I wish to touch on following comments by my chairman, Honorable Gabriel Tongoyo. First of all is the government printer, where they have given them additional allocation of 124 million. The government printer is at the heart of printing of all government documents, whether they are pamphlets, whether they are gazette notice, doctrinal and policy documents. The question I keep on asking myself, in the absence of an efficient, effective, and time-bound government printer, where are classified and important government documents being printed? And I think, Honorable Atandi, going forward, it is important that we put our resources where our mouth is, that places like government printers should be well-funded so that the exchequer actually, as opposed to funding government printer, it is the government printer that can plow resources back to the exchequer. On the State Department for Performance and Delivery Management, I think this is a key department in government that oversights, reports, monitors, and ensures that there are no wastage in government or government projects are delivered on time. I think for the first time I can see they are remembered in this budget. And going forward, if we really want to fight things like corruption and dead projects or white elephant projects, then we must really look at how we are going to use the State Department for Performance and Delivery. On the policing services, I can see there is 1.645 billion and 156 million that has been put in the DCI and in the administration police. If we really want an effective Directorate of Criminal Intelligence to be able to prevent crime, but also to arrest those who are breaking the laws, including killing and doing all sorts of anti-society evil, then the DCI must be well equipped. To that end, currently we have the DCI Forensic Lab that has actually overstayed in terms of it being useful and available to the Kenyan public. And to that end, I think the Committee of Budget will, in its wisdom, find the need to put resources into DCI. Secondly, is this issue of the AP, the frontline troops. The APs have the RDU, the Rapid Deployment Unit, the Border Policing Unit, the ROG, that is the Response Operating Group. All these are frontline troops that actually today are keeping Kenya safe while we are able to sit in these chambers and be able to discuss what is really important for Kenya. And putting money into some of these areas, in their mobility, in their firepower, in force protection, then we are able to say that those soldiers who are keeping us safe, they themselves, in the course of their duties, must be safe. Honorable Speaker, The chairman talked about the new administrative units. If Kenya must be governed, then the footprint of governance must be everywhere visible, and it can be identified. For a very long time, we have just attended to few areas, and in some cases, it is the elite who actually decide with the executive where governance should go. And I must thank this administration. Today we have close to, I think, 400 plus new sub-counties and divisions, locations, and sub-locations. Already it has been identified by our committee that we need close to 2.5 billion to be able to operationalize those gazetted administrative units. But in this particular budget, a budget line of only 100 million has been provided. It is indeed a drop in the ocean. So for that reason, as members of this House, seamless administration is to our benefit as leaders, so that if there are incidences or if there are developments, then there are people who can carry out these activities on our behalf. So I don't know where the budget committee can find resources, but I believe in your deep pockets, please see if there's anything that you can do. Operationalization of the livestock board. Livestock contributes 9% to our GDP. And most of the ASAL, and most of also non-ASAL, depend on livestock for their day-to-day livelihood. And in this particular budget, the National Livestock Development and Promotion Services is lacking. And yet it is here we do development, promotion, and marketing of livestock. A few months ago, we must thank the President for having gazetted the people he nominated for the Livestock Board. And I think in this budget, nothing has been allocated. So I wish to implore the budget committee to really look at it, to say what is useful for many out there. We must see where we can we plow in some resources, or where can we rob Peter to give Paul. On the other areas, it is this idea of A&A by the National Treasury. I think those organizations that are able to bring money to the exchequer, such as the Public Benefits Organization, this is the former NGOs, the private security companies. These are organizations, if funded, they can plow money back into the national coffers. It is important for us to identify such organizations and put money where there is actually returns. But also A&A can be abused. In our committee, we have looked at certain areas and there is potential for abuse. Finally, is the issue of equity. Budget is about equity. When you look at it, look at which part of Kenya has not been touched. And because we have the bird's overview of the budget, let us be very proficient on that point. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Murugara will be followed by the Honorable Dr. James Nyikal.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking Honorable Atandi and his committee for some work very well done. I know they went deep into the nights trying to cobble these figures so that today we can have a debate on them and start the process of appropriating money to the country. So thank you very much, Honorable Atandi and your group. I'm happy to hear from the chairperson of internal security regarding area managers of Kenya. And this is commendable because it is bringing services closer to the people and it must be encouraged, including the courts, which, Mr. Speaker, you alluded to. We must now be moving towards having a courthouse in every constituency so that people do not have to walk long distances seeking legal services or justice services. Honorable Speaker, allow me to comment on the sector, the justice sector in the country, which falls under JLAC and has several agencies under it. Thank you, Honorable Atandi, because I begin with the judiciary, where I find that you have made the additional allocation of shillings 1 billion. Extremely important, because the judiciary, as the third arm of government, does important work for this country, and without it, we cannot call ourselves a state. So the judiciary has the 1 billion, which is for various purposes. And the judges, especially the Chief Justice, needs to hear this.
Honorable Murugara, honorable members, pursuant to Standing Order number 237, alerting the House that we have just entered the second allotted day for purposes of debating this motion.
Very good.
Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. What is the 100 billion supposed to do? Very important. Number one, we have to recruit additional judges. And pursuant to this, an advertisement has gone out that we have now to recruit 20 High Court judges and 15 Court of Appeal judges. Thank you, Honorable Atandi. Number two, we must confirm over 1,000 youths who are employed under the Ajira program all over the country in all the courts. These innocent children have worked under contract for over 2 years. And I'm 100% sure that in accordance with our law and the judicial pronouncements, you cannot have a casual or temporary employee for that period of time. So the judiciary needs to look into this quickly, confirm these youngsters into E so that they are able to undertake their work of transcribing court proceedings amongst other duties. Number three, store the courthouses. And I always remind the judiciary that when we talk about the High Court at Homa Bay and the other high courts in the country, I also have my principal magistrate's court at Marimanti. I'm happy that money is now available. We should be looking at all the court-stored projects, the courthouses, including that in Homa Bay, now completed, judges posted, and judicial services brought closer to the people. And that applies to that one at Maribanti too. And also move forward the construction of courthouses in the constituencies. I know the judiciary is asking new members of parliament to partner with them so that using CDF, you can actually put up the courthouse. They will then post for you staff. If you have any money left in CDF, this is encouraging because I'm trying it in Tharaka in 2 places. You can also try and see that you have a courthouse, not now in a constituency, but in every sub-county. This is important. That's why we are emphasizing CDF, because CDF does almost everything in this country, especially when it comes to national government projects. We have had no regard for what is happening in the counties, and I'm happy Kenyans are now waking up to say and demand what exactly are the counties doing for the country. What are they doing for the citizens? We are going to appropriate over 400 billion to these counties. Where is this money going? Apart from huge recurrent expense, and the little that is left is pilfered by unscrupulous governors who think themselves to be demigods in the counties. We will be taking on them head-on because we are the ones who appropriate the money and we do not appropriate it for them to consume. Thank you, Honorable Atandi, because the other state departments also got enhancements. State Department of Justice, Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs, State Department of Correctional Services, State Law Office, Commission on Administrative Justice, Ethics and Anti-Corruption, and Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. All these have received some enhancement, and I believe the Treasury will carry that through. On behalf of the people of Tharaka, it's vitally important that I bring to the attention of Honorable Atandi how Tharaka looks like. I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, you have been to Tharaka many times. And what I say here, you can confirm if I go outside. Number one, today, there is no constituency in the country that would be proud to boast of about 25% electricity connectivity. Therefore, thank you, Honorable Atandi. You have allotted money to the Ministry of Energy. It will be my duty to go and remind that ministry that Tharaka needs affirmative action in matters electricity. Tharaka does not have many tarmac roads. Honorable Speaker would recollect that when he visited the Barimanti, that time there was no tarmac. Today there is a semblance of tarmac that is disjointed because it has stored. I'm happy money is being allocated to actually now get up those stored projects, including that road from Chakariga to Marimanti, while we are getting a new road tarmacked towards Miomponi, Mukothima, Katunga. When it comes to water, Honorable Atandi, I actually observed that he has made a bit of allocations for water in Tharaka, although there are also recommendations of reductions, and part of it is on my water plants in the constituency. I'll be going to the ministry to recover what I'm able to recover, because Tharaka is arid and semi-arid, and these budgets we make must reflect what people are experiencing in the constituencies. I would have said a lot more, because we will actually be looking at the Committee of Supply to see how the money is going to be allocated, and we will actually be making contributions on this. However, I do support the report, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Dr. James Nikal, the Chair, Departmental Committee on Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start by appreciating the Chair and the Committee of Budget and Appropriation on how they've conducted the whole process and how they've interacted with the departmental committee chairs. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this budget because this budget has focused on stabilizing the health sector and looked at the important key areas that we really need to look at as a country to stabilize our health system. The budget has looked at the primary health care system, where areas like vaccination, malaria, TB have actually been addressed with funding. To take just one, vaccines, we put 4.6 billion. And in promotive services, we have 10 billion, which covers many areas, including even the kits that will be required for primary health promoters. So, Speaker, even level 2 and level 3 services that have been a problem and has been actually the bane of the complaints in SHA actually will be addressed by the money that is put in primary health care and emergency and critical illness, which we talk about a little later. Mr. Speaker, the other areas that are really key in the complaints we have in the health sector has been actually human resource. And in human resource, we have three main areas, and they have actually been addressed, if not fully, but adequately for the purpose now. One is the UHC workers who have been actually camping out here, where 6.1 billion has been allocated. They have, of course, been asking for a lot more, but if the figures are worked out, and if there is proper planning on how this is organized between the county government and the national government, and I hope they will do that, this money is actually adequately start off the process. The issue of interns have been addressed, and the funds have been put to actually address the agreements that they had. Same as the issue of registrars, that has been a long time, and at least 200 million been put to actually start to streamline how registrars are actually applied in all the areas, in all the facilities where they are training. The other area that has been quite is the area of financing. Mr. Speaker, there has been a problem with SHA. There's no question about it, and the people who are complaining that SHA is not working had a point. And the people also who are complaining, were saying it is working, had a point. The issue was very actually straightforward. The issue is we had three funds there. The SHIF, which is the Social Health Insurance Fund, which is a contribution, and that was going on, and people who are admitted were actually getting services. But the issue of primary health care fund, which was funded from tax, and the emergency and critical care actually have not been funded before. And as you have indicated, we have had earlier, we have had 13 billion for primary care fund and 10 billion for emergency critical and chronic care fund. So with that, if the ministry and in working in coordination with the county government, particularly for the primary health care fund, the complaints of outpatient and level 2 and level 3 in regard to such should actually be resolved. And people should actually now register, because with that, we expect that it should work. The other issue in the sector is the issue of availability of drugs and equipment. And therefore, in KEMSA has actually been supported in its operations, but earlier they had actually got, in the ongoing budget, they had got 1.5 billion, which should actually help them to recover from the effects of COVID. The other major issue is the referral system, particularly level 6, and we have realized that actually level 6 services have an issue of equity, because you have regions where they're level 6 and regions where they're no level 6, and yet these are areas where people need services like cancer care. And to that extent, in this budget, or in the policy aspect of the budget, we are looking at how we can have these referral services upgraded. In total, all the referral services that now are in existence, we put up to 43.3 billion. And there are two new ones, that is Mwai Kibaki in Nyeri and Jaramogi in Kisumu, where we have put 1.3 and 2.8 billion in this budget, and I think that should help them. And then there are others that actually are in the process, and some money has been put so that this process can actually be streamlined. I don't want to go more because I think people have talked and we have the issue of time. But I want to say one main thing with this, Mr. Speaker. The health services in this country, particularly public health services, are to a large extent in the domain of the county governments. Even these funds that have been put, particularly the primary health care fund, even the UHC fund, if we do not have a proper coordination between the county government and the national government, these funds will not serve the purposes for which they are put. On this, I'm actually calling the Health Committee of the Council of Governors to actually work with the Ministry of Health, Medical Services, and Public Health and Sanitation Departments to actually work out a process where these funds will be operational. For example, the 13 billion in primary health care fund, if applied properly, should actually support level 2, level 3, and outpatients. If we take care of that, Mr. Speaker, the complaints about SHA will actually go. And once people go to those services and those levels and find services, people will be encouraged to enroll. But if there are complaints that they are going and they're not getting services, and to that extent, we have the Facility Improvement Fund, which is going to support level 2, which is level 2, level 3, Facility Improvement Fund, and that is where we expect that the 13.3B will have a system that brings that money to that level. And if that level is properly funded and people get services, then we do not see why KEMSA should actually not get paid, because that is where the drugs are used a lot, and if that is taken care of, then obviously KEMSA. So there are a lot of structural issues that have to go into place. The money has been put in place, so I'm really just asking the Health Committee of the Council of Governors, the Ministry of Health, to actually sit together and work out a system that will sort out the issue of the universal health cover, UHC workers, sort out the issue of KEMSAs, sort out the issue of interns, because funds have been made available. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Honorable Anthony Oluoch will be followed by Honorable Mukunji, the MP for Manyata. Then Honorable Wilberforce Oundo, to be followed by the Honorable Kiarie.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to also rise to support this, and I want to begin, Honorable Speaker, with the second part of what the committee had moved in its motion. The chair had asked for the approval of a sum of 2.38,293,978,440 billion from the consolidated fund. I'm more concerned on my first point. On the second part, make policy and financial resolutions contained in this second part. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, because a number of policy and financial recommendations have been made in the last financial year, in particular in last year's budget estimates deliberations. The first one is affirmative action, in which I hope, and I have seen attempts to carry and entrench in a number of State Department estimates. Honorable Speaker, affirmative action is now firmly entrenched under our Constitution as our foundational principles, particularly Article 10, and then goes into a number of others, including Article 204. Honorable Speaker, it is only possible that some places that are unreached, including places like informal settlements in Nairobi, when you look at the crafting of Article 204, it excludes places like cities because the assumption is Nairobi, Kisumu, wherever those big counties are already developed. Yet, it is very, very possible, and indeed is the position, that informal settlements where you have Mathare, you have Mukuru, you have Kwajenga, you have Kibra, are all marginalized, and affirmative action in budget-making process must always extend to them. There is also the issue of budget equity, ensuring that when resources are allocated and those to whom trust is given to allocate and preside over the allocation of resources must employ a policy of budget equity across the country. The people in Turkana are as much entitled to getting roads, water, electricity, and other services as those in Lamu, the same as those in Diwa in Homa Bay, the same as those one in Muranga, and also in the constituency where Honorable Oundo comes from. The question of budget equity must be an overarching issue that always pervades in our budget-making process. Honorable Speaker, the budget making, and this is my last point on that issue of policy and financial resolution, is that budget making must constantly be on a path for the improvement and attainment of rights. I am particularly drawn to Article 28, where every person is entitled to inherent dignity and for that dignity to be respected. Same to Article 43, that says that every person is entitled to affordable and accessible housing. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is very natural then that my first point in support of this budget would be on the State Department on Housing. The State Department of Housing, Honorable Speaker, has had an allocation of nearly 95 billion, and it will not be lost, especially to those of us in Nairobi, that it was possible to extend that Article 28 and Article 43, dignity and enhancement and protection of that dignity of individuals, that a person who was living in an informal settlement in Mukuru, and soon that could be extended to Mathare and other places, Makadara, Kibera, Langata, they can now finally enter a decent house where they can get a shower, possibly a hot shower, they can get clean water, they can get access to electricity, whereas it was the common practice that for them to get electricity, they would either have to do illegal connection or go into other illicit ways of lighting, which are a constant cause for fire in informal settlements. Honorable Speaker, the other area where I think affirmative action should have been endeared because it was extended last year was the area of the State Department on basic education. And I'm happy that in the supplementary budget, His Excellency the President did extend 1 billion Kenya shillings to all the 17 constituencies in Nairobi. We engaged in that discussion this year as leaders of Nairobi and made that petition to His Excellency and also to the Chair of Budget. Unfortunately, because of the limited fiscal space, we have been assured that Nairobi will get a similar extension of 1 billion to extend, especially to the informal settlements, the idea of basic infrastructure. This is why you can now see, when I started off by saying what are the policy and financial issues that must underlie the budget-making process. On the issue of education, because now I'm there, Mr. Speaker, I have seen, I think that is a futuristic premonition that our Speaker, sitting as he is right now, will one day get that title of His Excellency. Mr. Speaker,
The Honorable Oundo, what is out of order? Prophecies like that must be taken seriously.
Indeed, Honorable Speaker, I needed also to add my voice because the way your face has glared, the way your soul has lifted, I can see it has truly touched the bottom of your heart.
Yes.
And may the God's wishes come to pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable KJ, what do you find out of order in that prophecy?
Mr. Speaker, I imagine that we have standing orders that dictate what a point of order is. And I do not think that the Honorable Daktari stood on a point of order, even from his submission. Mr. Speaker, what was said by the Honorable Member for Mathare is only possible today, after we have been able to make it clear to Kenyans that anybody in this country can rise to the highest seat in office. And Mr. Speaker, this is only possible within this broad-based government, Mr. Speaker, that has given opportunity to any member of this country to feel part, not only of the country, but also part of government. So, Mr. Speaker, the dreams that are being prophesied by the Honorable Member Wakili Oluoch are possible. And all I would like to say is that those dreams are very, very valid. And if it so happened, then we shall have the brain power that we were talking about, the tyranny of Akili from Homa Bay, rising to a high position of power. But to my mind, Mr. Speaker, what Dr. Oundo rose on was not a point of order as stipulated by our standing orders. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable KJ, the Honorable Dr. Oundo merely confirmed that that prophecy appeared to rest very well in my soul.
Yes, precisely.
So there is nothing out of order. Honorable, what you will continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And so I wanted to conclude that point by talking to the question of capitation. I see that about 90 billion has been put on the question of capitation. And just like CDF, I think the issue is usually half the question of allocation, but secondly, a question of exchequer. And even though the House has constantly, in its oversight role, tried to ensure that we match allocation with prompt and timely disbursements of these monies. So, and I have seen on the flip side that the capitation money has gone down from 22,000 Kenya shillings per student to about 17. I should hope that this will not affect the number of students or leave out some of the students, or if there is a gap, I hope that the chair and the budget committee will plug this in supplementary too. On that issue of education of the State Department, I have seen gladly that about 5.9 billion has been reinstated on the question of exams. There is still a shortfall of 6 billion, and hopefully this will be able to be flagged. There is also about 7.5 billion on the confirmation of intern teachers. The only issue that I want to request that we must ensure that is done is a question of equity, one of the 3 policy issues that I said should underlie our budget-making process, so that the teachers and the distribution of this opportunity to have teachers extends to people in far-flung areas and people who historically have not had similar amounts and numbers put and extended to them, can also have proper TSC teachers, as opposed to relying on BOG teachers, as is the case in some of the constituencies, including Mathare. And I know also of my good friend, Honorable TJ Kajwang. I wanted to speak on the State Department for Infrastructure. And Honorable Speaker, one of the key issues that I've raised also here in relation to the question of equity. I had recently a debate or pronouncements being made about securitization being an illegality. Now, I looked at Section 6 of the Roads Act and Section 32A(1)(c), and it clearly allows the minister to set apart part of the money that is allocated, of the 50% allocation that is able to go down in terms of distribution, and to set apart this money, invest it, and then plow it back so that we are able to deal with 2 things. One is a question of pending bills, which continue to be a big impediment in the rollout of new roads and carpeting of roads and maintenance of roads in the case of constituencies like Nairobi. And so the idea of securitization would be able to deal with pending bills and at the same time be able to deal with the question of equity. Lastly, because my time is over, is on the question of energy. I cannot fail to thank the committee and Honorable Atandi that through the intervention of His Excellency, you are able to extend 500 million that informal settlements, including my own constituency, Mathare, where 1 ward with 30,000 people has not seen electricity for the last 7 years can now be able to have a last mile connection. And I also see that RAREC will be able to implement this. Also on this, and this is my final point as a support, 670, is it million or billion, on electrification of constituencies. I hope this will be divided equitably so that we are able to have street lights and high mast in order to enhance security in our constituencies. I thank you and I support the budget making process and the estimates by the committee. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honorable Mukunji.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to give my contribution. Honorable Speaker, I also want to take toll and congratulate the Chair and the committee. This is never an easy job to actually work on the budget of the country. But first, Honorable Speaker, I want to first clearly indicate that we are talking of close to 900 billion in our deficit in this year's budget, Honorable Speaker. And it is important to say that I believe we need to change how we work on these budgets in a way that if we fell short in our previous years through our collections, we need to take that into considerations and work within our means, Honorable Speaker. And since we are talking about a budget of close to 3 trillion, it tells you, Honorable Speaker, we have actually just expanded our consumption as a country. And Honorable Speaker, I also want to take note that when we talk of deficit, there are so many other things that are not included, including matters to do with pending bills, and now the current issue we are normally hearing about secularization of fuel levy and most likely other levies. Honorable Speaker, I want to take note of pending projects. And I know every member in his constituency has projects that have stalled and have been waiting funding. And I want to appreciate that I've seen the committee has put in a water project, Itabwa Muthatari and New Kidhemo water project to be completed. And it just required 20 million Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, but it has been pending for close to 3-4 years, and people have not had a chance to use the water. Honorable Speaker, as I speak about the irrigation project, I want to take toll and also support the chair of Irrigation and Water Committee and say that, Honorable Speaker, this government and the ministry must really know where we can have impactful projects. And I believe water projects are among the projects that really can change this country and ensure that our country develops. Honorable Speaker, we have had many presidents and regimes making a name. Honorable Mwai Kibaki, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, made a name through education. He also made a name through SMEs. His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta has obviously made a name in the infrastructure of this nation. The railway systems, the road systems, including the famous expressway. And I believe the place this regime can make a name is ensuring that everybody has gotten water, either for irrigation and, Honorable Speaker, piped water for drinking. That is just my advice. And, Honorable Speaker, I want to take note of the 2 billion coffee cherry fund, which has been allocated. And, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that there is a pending issue on what I would call waiver of our coffee factory debts that has been a promise for years. And, Honorable Speaker, I have had the majority leader take credit of the good pricing of coffee that has been happening for this year. And I want to correct him and say that, yes, we have had good prices for coffee, but where the government can make an impact is not to take credit of the good pricing, but to ensure the longevity of the good pricing through ensuring that the factories are free of debt, as it is happening in the sugar farming areas, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have seen a lot of usage of money in empowerment. Honorable Speaker, I have seen leaders led by the Deputy President moving around doing some empowerment programs. And I was very keen to check whether there is an allocation in the budget for that program. And to my shock, I've not seen any, Honorable Speaker. I've seen only 4 billion that has been allocated to the youth ministry, and I believe that is not enough to even cater for empowerment together with the wages. Honorable Speaker, I want to actually...
The Honorable Mukunji, do you need information
No,
from Honorable Watch?
No, I don't need information because of time, Honorable Speaker.
Well,
I'll talk to my good friend, Honorable Alwatch, on the side. But Honorable Speaker, as I continue, I want to say that we need equity in sharing of our budget. And I want to actually differ with many speakers that have said budget committee in the previous years has been skewed. Honorable Speaker, where we are having a skewed budget is when we make a budget in this House, but then somewhere else we have other new places where there is allocation of resources. And this has made only the places that some people have visited to be the ones that are actually getting the resources. I would like to call upon this House to take charge of the budget, where every constituency is represented, except the constituencies that are waiting to do by-elections. And if we do that, Honorable Speaker, I believe we'll be sharing our resources fairly in almost all areas. Honorable Speaker, on education, I want to say that I was speaking to a number of teachers for the last 2 days. And I was shocked to hear there is interference in the NEMIS program that we use to allocate money. And Honorable Speaker, I know you are shocked when you heard there is a school that got 87 shillings through NEMIS. And this is because I'm told head teachers upload names of the student, but then within a minute they are removed. And this has made the NEMIS system to be unfair to some of the areas and some of the schools. Honorable Speaker, it's good as we allocate money for capitation to actually take charge of an audit of the NEMIS program. Honorable Speaker, I want to talk about the new funding model. And Honorable Speaker, right now we have allocated close to around 97 billion. Honorable Speaker, this program, the new funding model, by the time this country goes fully into the new funding model, we are going to need close to 350 billion to run that university program. I want to call upon this House to actually take stock, and please, we would like, when we see something is not sustainable, to look at how we can reduce and ensure that we don't have a new funding model where students are staying in the universities without very clear ways of paying their school fees. Honorable Speaker, at this juncture, I want to say, of course, CDF has been a game changer when it comes to bridging the gap in the education sector, and I want to put my words there that that is fund that we should fight tooth and nail to protect. Honorable Speaker, as I talk about housing, and I have taken note of Honorable Member from Madare, I also want to say that these are resources that we need to expand their usage. Honorable Speaker, why housing cannot be a major accolade from many Kenyans is because housing are a very personal development agenda. Honorable Speaker, I call upon us to look at how we can amend that law and allow areas that need water to get water, others that need houses to get houses, others that need of electricity to get electricity, so that, Honorable Speaker, we can be able to ensure every part of the country feels value for the resources that they are cut through levy, Honorable Speaker. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the police force has had an increment in what they are getting. But I want to say that it is good that...
is out of order, Honorable Anthony Lodge.
See, you had already almost wind up, for I deliberately waited for you to finish. I am on my feet. I'm on the point of order. Is it in order, Honorable Speaker, for the Honorable Member to attempt to limit the rights and put a hierarchy that would place the housing needs of my constituents and those of KJ and informal settlements, to put the water needs of his constituency over mine? Would it be in order when this is under Article 28 on the question of dignity and Article 43 of the Constitution? Secondly, on the point of order, was it in order to mislead this House that the Deputy President has been running around on empowerment project without a budget? This is both a point of order and a point of information, because I sit in the Education Committee. The program the Deputy President is going around doing is called a National Youth Empowerment and something. What is the other name? Yes. And there is a budget under the State Department of MSME on that one. It is a co-funded project between the World Bank and the government of Kenya. And so there is money and a budget to run off, and it is not, is it in order that the member continues to mislead this House? Thank you.
Honorable Mukunji.
Honorable Speaker, you have to be fair.
Those are statements duly attributed to you, and you want to clarify or withdraw them.
Honorable Speaker, I will ask for fairness in time, because I've been interrupted while I'm finishing up. Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that, of course, if it is genuinely empowerment, it should be very clear on how it is put, it should be coded, and we should clearly know that there is some money for every constituency on empowerment. But Honorable Speaker, I was finishing up, and I wanted to mention something to do with county governments and what they are receiving vis-a-vis what they are collecting in the ANA. Honorable Speaker, there has been a lot of corruption in what counties do in their collections. And that is why there is a big burden, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the resources they need from the national government. I would call upon this House to come up with more stringent measures to ensure counties' ANA is not misused, and automation of it must be mandatory, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support, and Honorable Speaker, among what I was dictating on housing is what I would call the common user projects that touch on lives of everybody. That is roads, electricity, and water. And everybody needs that. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much.
Is it Honorable Dr. Wilberforce Oundo?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this report is pursuant to this floor of the House, pursuant to Article 221 of the Constitution, that requires the committee to deliberate, hold public participation, and submit its report and recommendations to this House. So it's proper in this House, and that's why we are debating on it. Honorable Speaker, and let me also congratulate my neighbor for presiding over his first report in this matter, even though, let me admit, there's nothing earth-shaking, there's nothing so innovative, there's nothing so departure from the old ritual that's being presented here today. But be it, I know his hands are tied, just like anybody else. I hope it was our own government under the Raila Amolo Odinga, where our hands will be unshackled and will make all the major major issues that we need to put into place. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Dr. Wilberforce Oundo, you've invited a point of order from the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Honorable Speaker, it's never in my intention to disrupt my brother and my neighbor, Honorable Oundo. But Honorable Speaker, is it in order for Honorable Oundo to belittle this House by claiming that this House does not have powers to make budget, when it is very clear that budget making is the mandate and responsibility of this House? Is it in order, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Speaker, I did not in any way say that Parliament doesn't have powers to make budget. I just said his hands are tied because of the fiscal framework we are facing, the economic situation we are facing, so his hands are tied. And I said, Honorable Speaker, that if Raila Amolo Odinga was the president, this predicament the country is going through will not be there. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
But Honorable Dr. Oundo, we need also to be factual. For the first time, I've seen budget estimates where a road project, for instance, is proposed in Mandera County. I've never seen any like that before. And for the first time, the constituency of the Honorable Martin Owino, the Iwa constituency, which has never seen a tarmac road or a road raised to bitumen, is in the estimates.
Honorable Speaker.
Several other roads in regions and places which have been forgotten by other budget estimates of the past. So give the devil his due.
Hello, Honorable Speaker, I hope the time you have taken to speak you will give, because you have taken 5 minutes.
It is preserved.
Honorable Speaker, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, they can celebrate, but as people of Busia, we are people for lesser God, we have nothing to celebrate, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me, and probably to pick up on 2 issues. Honorable Mkunja has left it off, that there are some basic common user facilities that are required. Every Kenyans require them. Other things they can sort themselves out. There are things that are retained by the national government, which we legislate or we budget through this process. Honorable Speaker, when I look at the amount, there is under the roads and infrastructure, there is close to 200 billion. I think so, yeah, 200 billion slated for roads and related infrastructure. And as usual, Honorable Speaker, I've painstakingly gone through this document. The specific itemized roads, where that 200 billion is going to go, I have not seen it. And this continues the opaque nature of budget making that I thought our experts and the chair, we having suffered with him in the trenches, would have been magnanimous enough, or the committee, even the parliamentary budget office, would have annexed to this report and say, out of the following projects, this is where each, the funds totaling to 200 billion going to. Honorable Speaker, again, typical for our nature, we are the same, going back to where we were. Opaque nature, somebody will sit somewhere and basically allocate that money and franchise or just ignore many other places. And that, Honorable Speaker, I say so with a heavy heart that Article 10 of the Constitution that requires inclusiveness, equality, is continuously flouted in the budget-making process. So for many of us, Honorable Speaker, we may not have much to celebrate in this budget. Honorable Speaker, allow me now to pick out a few issues, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when you go now to the committee recommendations, for example, I want to draw the 3rd schedule under Vote 1065, University Education. And I want the Kenyans and their parents to hear this very clearly. They have reduced 1.3 billion recurrent from government-sponsored students in private universities. So I want to tell the parents and their children that as you fill KUSIPs this year, if you are allocated to a private university, the burden to go through those 4 years or whichever number of years lies squarely in your hands. So do not make a mistake of accepting to go to those private universities. And for the private universities, this is an open discrimination by your own government against your own children who are children of this country. Then the question you wonder, why don't you issue charters to private universities if we don't allow Kenyan children to go there? Number two, Honorable Speaker, where we are talking about a complete flouting of Article 10 of the Constitution. They are increasing 600 million for infrastructure support to public universities. Again, it's very opaque. They are not told which university is receiving the money, where that money is going to. Honorable Speaker, the process continues. And Honorable Speaker, I want to go say this on record, that where the specific amount, they have said 100 million to Rongo, 100 million for Rongo University, 125 million to Jaramogi Oginga University, 50 million to Just, I think that's the same university, and obviously, Honorable Speaker, there's zero allocation for Lupe University in Busia County. Honorable Speaker, I also want to bring to the attention of the country that in the same budget, there has been a reduction of 3 billion on secondary school capitation. So what does it mean? It means the parents will have to dig deeper in their pockets to supplement. The argument they are saying probably that there are less students in secondary schools, that argument cannot hold, Honorable Speaker, because the cover-up, the clean-up from the old system forced so many of the students who had been marked timing to go back to school. Honorable Speaker, I have so many other cases I would have want to pick out, but for the sake of time, let me, Honorable Speaker, address the elephant in the house, the issue of universal health care. Honorable Speaker, I have been a very strong proponent of registration and a SHIF and share. In my constituency, wherever I go, I sing the gospel, I sing the idea, just like Jesus Christ used to preach all over. Honorable Speaker, there has been very many good cases, and I must applaud there have been many cases. And Honorable Nyikali is here, Dr. Nyikali is seated here with us. We really need to address the issue of the universal health care, the issue of critical illness, and Honorable Speaker, the relationship between SHA and private hospitals. As I stand here, Honorable Speaker, I have a case of a patient from my constituency who is admitted at Zion Hospital in Maradaima here in Nairobi. The bill as of last week, 2 weeks ago, was 450. She only paid 56,000. She only paid 56,000, Honorable Speaker. The family has raised 170-something. They still have about 200,000, and the person is detained in hospital as we stand today, Honorable Speaker. This is a 19-year-old boy who was accidentally knocked on the road crossing, going to his side hustles, and there has been no attempt at all to solve the problem. I want to implore upon you, to implore you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, and the Budget Committee. We must find a way of how we can have a social intervention system to deal with this kind of cases. We have nowhere where we get 200,000 to solve the matter. The longer they stay in the hospital, the longer the problem becomes. I have another and also detained, Honorable Speaker, in a private hospital in Eldoret. Didn't have SHA. It was not yet registered in SHA, and that's where the danger we have. Honorable Speaker, we must invest in the process of registering the members. Let me conclude, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of money allocated to county governments. And I have seen here, Honorable Speaker, it's agreed all over the country that we don't see value for the money that has gone to county governments. That most of the money is either lost in recurrent expenditure because county governments have now become employment bureaus. They employ literally everybody, even people who never go to work or who have no even specific job description. They are on the payroll of the county governments. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Auditor General has requested for more money, and I'm happy the committee has added them more money. We can save much more money and give them more money if they are going to net the thieves in the county governments. For sure, it will be a travesty of justice to add them more money next financial year if they have not brought to book the thieving members in the county assembly. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I also listened to Honorable Tandi indicate that they have reduced the fiscal deficit. I am surprised because we have not passed the finance bill. So we do not know how much revenue we are going to generate. I think it's important we tell the people of Kenya the process, how it flows. We cannot talk about
Give the Honorable Oundo 2 minutes.
I will not even take 2 minutes. Honorable Speaker, it is important we need the logical flow. We know how much we can spend. We know what are requirements. Then we go for revenue-raising measures. Is that point that we'll know what's the fiscal deficit? For example, what if the finance bill fails? We're still going to have another supplementary one immediately like we had last year. Prudent management indicates you must foresee and plan adequately. So, Honorable Speaker, so that KJ can speak, let me conclude here. And no, he was after me. And let me conclude and say, Honorable Speaker, we must monitor budget performance. We appropriate, but Treasury does not disburse the money.
Parliament Buildings, Nairobi. A broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. A warm welcome to you, and we are glad that you have managed to join us for these proceedings that are expected to commence from 2:30, being the time allocated for the sitting. So what you are currently seeing on your screens, that is inside of the National Assembly chambers, members already getting in and taking their positions, ready for the business that is lined up for consideration this afternoon. And talking of the business that is to be transacted, this afternoon, the members will be considering a number of motions. Just to remind you that being a Wednesday afternoon, whereby, as is the tradition, the House hosts cabinet secretaries. However, this afternoon, that question time period or session will not be there. However, there is a number of business that the members of the National Assembly will be looking at. There is a motion with regards to the ratification of the agreement on fisheries subsidies. Also, a motion with regards to the report on the consideration of the audited accounts of state corporations for Central Region. And this afternoon, also, the members of the Senate will be considering a special motion from the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. Of course, this is with regards to the nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. You will recall that the committee carried out the approval hearings on Saturday, 31st of May. And this afternoon, or rather yesterday, the committee tabled its report. And this afternoon, that particular business is lined up for consideration, with the committee approving the appointment of the members or the nominees who were appointed as chairperson and members of the Independent and